Hello, and thank you so much for serving on this Sunday, February 19th, 2023. I'm going to give you a quick walkthrough of what to expect for today's lesson. You need to arrive around 9:30, and you're going to meet in the check-in room so that you can pray together as a team and get your volunteer sticker. When you move into the classroom, there should be 4 adults serving this week. So 1 adult will be stationed ready to do check-in as the students begin arriving to mark them on the attendance sheet. 1 adult should be working on the TV to get it set up with our worship song, which for this week, it's down in the second section, is Open the Eyes of My Heart, and it has the other information for how to find it when you are on the YouTube app. And then the other 2 adults should be kind of just walking around the classroom and mingling with the kids to hear how their week went, just see how they're doing, and if they have any questions or need help with their center choices. So they're going to work on those center choices until about 10:10, and when 10:10 arrives, it is time to clean up. As the tables clean up, it is easiest just to have them sit at their table and then call tables to put the centers away, 1 person from each table, and then call them by grade level to go sit in the worship area. Once they're in the worship area, you can spend a minute just kind of greeting them, seeing how their week went, before introducing the worship song for today and doing it together. So once it's time for that worship song, give them the reminder that they need to be participating in some way. That could mean singing, that could mean dancing, it could mean both, but in some way they need to be using their body to worship God. And then at 10:20 is around the time that should be done. So at that point, you're going to send the kindergarten through second graders to the carpet and call them by grade again, so then that way the younger kids can sit towards the front of the carpet for their memory verse time. And then at the same time, you're going to have your 3rd through 5th graders line up at that back door, which is to the back of the worship area. There is a yellow bag on that door handle. Inside that bag, you should have a key on a lanyard to be able to get into the upstairs where their new classroom is, as well as 3 copies of this pink lesson plan, which are to be split between the 3 adults that are going upstairs, and the copies for this week's craft that they're going to be doing upstairs as well. Also in that bag, there's going to be 2 very small sheets of paper with this month's memory verse that you can attach to the wall upstairs with tape next to their memory verse that they've been writing. So once the groups are separated, 3rd through 5th graders are upstairs, K through 2 are downstairs. Both groups are going to move into working on their memory verse. They need to practice it multiple times. Have them echo read it, have them do it all together. Have 1 student come to the front and lead the group, someone who feels confident with leading the group, even if they make a mistake, just being able to laugh it off. And so this week, all they're doing is it's week 3, 219. They're going to be adding Mark 7:15 onto it, and they need to practice it multiple times. This is not a super well-known verse, so some of the students aren't super familiar with it, so they might need a lot of practice with it this week. Then it is time for prayer. So in both the groups upstairs and the group downstairs, the students are going to share their prayer requests. If you notice that there is a lot of kids all wanting to pray for the same thing, especially in that younger group, if children have lost teeth or if they have a lot of scrapes, those are things that you can kind of group together. If you notice that there's 50 hands up and they're all wanting to pray for, a cut that they've got on their knee, just say, if anyone has any bumps or scrapes or bruises, raise your hand, and we're going to pray for all of those at the same time. And then just write a quick note that there's a large group that wants that for their prayer. Upstairs, what we've been doing is going around the group, because they are smaller, and letting each kid have a chance to share a prayer request that they have, and just kind of talking about that a little bit more deeply within those groups. So you're going to record that in your prayer request book, which upstairs, the boys' side also has purple. The girls have like a holographic book, but you want to record them in that book so that if it is something that needs a follow-up, just to see how things have turned out, we can always look back in this book to be able to be praying for them and to follow up with them about it. So after that, we're going to do the Lord's Prayer. It is posted in both classrooms, upstairs and downstairs, so that if anyone is uncomfortable with knowing all of the words yet, they are welcome to keep their eyes open and to look at that Lord's Prayer. If anyone is mentioning that they maybe don't understand all of it or don't have all of it memorized yet, do let them know that later this summer, we're going to be doing a study on the Lord's Prayer so that we understand exactly what it's saying, the meaning behind it, so that when we say it every week, we know what it is that we are praying about. Okay, so once that is done, we move into our Bible story lesson, which in all the groups this week is story 143, The Gift of Men. It is on pages 286 and 287 in the Gospel Story Bible, which you can see here. So if you are downstairs, I have it broken up here on the lesson plan. I'm now writing one lesson plan for both groups, but there are parts where it's broken into the different grade level groups. So if you are going to read this in both groups, upstairs and downstairs. However, if you are upstairs, there are 3 copies of the Gospel Story Bible on both sides of the classroom. So 3 copies for the boys, 3 copies for the girls. And that is because those groups upstairs are liking to help with reading it. Some of these words are tough, and some of the kids don't feel confident in trying to read that, and that's fine. But what we've been doing is we find a volunteer to read a paragraph. The teacher usually reads the first paragraph, and then starting with someone on the circle, have them read the next paragraph, moving to the next person. And if they don't want to read, they just say pass. And if the words are tough, we can help walk them through it. If they say it completely wrong, that's fine too. Like, these words are tough even as adults. So it takes a lot of bravery to be able to read in front of your peers, and they've been doing an awesome job with that. So if you're upstairs, do let the kids have a chance to do that. There's enough copies that you could share. Because there's 3 copies up there, one does need to be with the teacher. The other 2 copies could be shared by pairs or could be like passed around for them to help read it too. And it helps keep them focused because they're listening for where they're supposed to be in the story. So when you're done reading the stories, if you're downstairs, the teacher reading it. If you're upstairs, the kids reading it to you. You can answer these short questions that are here. And then you're going to look up where the story is located in the Bible. I chose Ephesians 4, 1 through 13. I know it gives 2 areas here, but that's just too much for them to be able to look up. So in both classrooms, they're going to get their Bibles out, and they're going to look up Ephesians 4, 1 through 13. If you're upstairs, the kids are going to locate it, read it independently or with a partner first before the teacher reads it out loud. If you are downstairs, the kids are going to locate it and take your time doing this. This is a really important skill for them to be building. But once they locate it, then the teacher reads it out loud to them. It is a longer passage, so this might feel a little bit rocky, but but I think it's important, and the context of those verses is important. So then they're going to do the follow-up questions. Those are the same for both groups. And after the follow-up questions is the craft is different this week. Normally, 3rd through 5th grade does not have a craft. Normally, they have an object lesson or some type of a game or experiment that they're doing together. But this week, I thought the craft was appropriate for both groups. So there are thank you card worksheets. They can have colored pencils, crayons, markers. And if you are downstairs especially, this phrase I thought would be a great idea to write on the large dry erase board because they might not feel comfortable with writing it, especially our kindergarten friends. So dear blank, and they're going to fill in a name there. Thank you for teaching me to be like Jesus, love blank. And it doesn't have to be that. It could be, thank you for teaching me to love like Jesus. Thank you for teaching me to want to serve Jesus. Things along those lines. So the students are going to think of 2 to 3 pastors or teachers in their life that have taught them to live like Jesus. It can be a pastor from our church. It could be a Christian teacher at their school, or even a teacher in our children's church classroom. They just want to think of 2 or 3 people that have been important to them in their walk with Jesus and have them create a list on the board of examples. The reason why I'm saying board is because a lot of these kids go to the same schools, or the pastors at our church, or the teachers here in their children's church. And so there might be a lot of repeats. And so it would be good to just get those names on the board so that they can just look back at the board to reference those names. After creating the list together, let them choose a thank you coloring sheet to make for their pastor or the teacher of their choice. They should decorate the front and then write a short note on the back. They can say specifically how that person taught them to live like Jesus, or to love Jesus, or to serve Jesus. Or they can copy from the board, that saying on the board. And feel free to change that. That was just like a basic model. I actually think I like to... Thank you for teaching me to serve Jesus is probably better. So once they completed, they can take their note home with them if they want to personally deliver it to the person that they wrote it to, or if it's for a children's church teacher that they're not sure they're going to see each week, they can leave it here and we can get it to them. Or pastor, if they don't know that they're going to for sure see that pastor, we can just kind of create piles for them. In fact, that would be really helpful for the kids who don't want to take theirs with them. If you could just create piles, like if there's a pile for Matt, a pile for Eric, or whoever they want to make those for, then we can deliver that to those people for them. And so I think that's going to take a long time because hopefully they will take their time with decorating. They can make as many as they want. We have made lots and lots and lots of copies. So they can take their time and make a really detailed one for one person, or they might want to make multiple for several adults that have made a difference in their love for Jesus. So be watching. If you are upstairs, be watching for a text because I will be in service this week. So I will text you when the sermon is like right on the tail end, ending right before communion is starting, so that you know to come downstairs, so that the kids are all back in the room when the parents are arriving. It is important. The kids are starting to struggle a little bit with staying on in the worship area as parents are arriving. One or two adults should be doing checkout. What I think seems to work really well is if one adult is doing checkout with two older student helpers. One of those students can be collecting stickers. The other student can be like a runner to get kids as their parents arrive. So as their parents arrive, tell that kid, say, go and get so-and-so, and they can run and grab that kiddo and bring them back. One of the other adults should be in charge of Bible prizes in the worship area. So bringing the Bible prize bucket that's on top of the white bookcase over there for kids who have brought their Bible, and they should not be choosing a prize unless if they have their Bible with them. And then the other adult or two that is remaining, just kind of crowd control. The kids have been trying to gather at the door, which just makes it very loud and very complicated to help get kids in and out quickly so that parents can kind of get to where they need to go. And so for dismissal, collect stickers, put them on the sticker ball, highlight their name as they are picked up. And that is it. Thank you guys so much for serving. I will see you on Sunday.